See the screen that says Impact Survey, Vermont Department of Libraries webinar. And I can still see the chat, and Laura says she can see it, yes, so that's great. Okay, so I think we're ready to go, and let's get on with it. So the only other thing is, will we be able to move through the PowerPoint? Good. So today we're going to do a brief welcome, talk about the impact survey, and then hopefully give you a little bit of evidence that the impact survey is something that you want to do for your library. I've had a couple of emails from people saying, do I have to do it? So no, there is no coercion. The state of Vermont can see a group response. So that's great for us. It allows us to talk about what is happening in public libraries. But I know this is something that's going to take some time and effort on your part. So it is up to you to make the decision very quickly about whether you want to do it. You can see that I have questions and answers at the end. So make a note if something comes up or put it into chat, and I'll try to answer it as we go along. So Mara was going to talk about tools, but she's coming in via the web, so that's more challenging for her. And thank you all for making the change very quickly at the last minute. With 13 people taking the webinar, it didn't seem as important to use the big clunky software. So we're now coming in via GoToMeeting, which has some different tools. I'm hoping that you can see me. For those of you who've just joined me, if you're having difficulty, find the chat button. You can either chat with each other or chat with everyone. It's the chat with everyone that I will see. Okay, so I'm going to skip the polls since we're not at the same place we were, and just go to talking about the impact survey. One of the things I like about this initiative is that it's research-based. So it's actually coming out of the University of Washington initiative, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. These surveys have been used since 2009. So there's been a while building up the information about what questions elicit the right responses and what kinds of measures of computers are really useful to public libraries. It's a pre-tested and pre-validated survey, and as I mentioned, the state of Vermont, Marty Reed, me, can go in and see a collective report of everybody who's participated. So that is going to help us, but you should do the impact survey because the results will help you. So I just want to remind you that we came after you last fall, 2014, and asked you to enroll. That's because we knew ahead of time that the fee wall would go up. So if you enrolled, depending on when you enrolled, your expiration date was 1 year from that date. So the email that I sent out went to you because your expiration date is in September. And if you log on to the impact survey again, you can see that information. You can see when your enrollment went out. I'm happy to have you email me if you run into difficulties with that. I can also see that information. Libraries can still join, but there's a fee now. And we had thought initially that the Department of Libraries might be able to pick up that fee. That's not going to happen. You know that story. So that's why this last minute push. I'm hoping that you'll all be interested in taking advantage of this opportunity now before your membership, your free membership expires. If you do decide to pay the fee, then you can go on offering the survey. You have an extended time. I just put up a couple of fees so you could get an idea of them. So the measuring stick, the yardstick, if you will, is the library's total income. So for libraries with less than $20,000 of total income, the yearly fee is $50 to join. For libraries like Fletcher Free, who have a total income of over $1 million, it's $500 to join. There's more information on the website, so feel free to look at that. As I said, there's no pressure coming from us for you to join. So let's talk about reasons that you might want to do the impact survey. I'm calling that readiness. So the Stowe Free Library is doing a strategic plan, and I was thrilled to see in the orientation materials that they're giving their task force these facts and figures, which came from the impact survey. So they found out that 50% of public technology users at the library use the library's connection. That could be Wi-Fi, that could be equipment, that could be help for employment purposes. 32% of those people applied for a job, 25% were granted an interview, and 21% were hired for a new position. And that kind of data tells a story. I mean, that's the kind of thing I would want every employer in town to know. I'd want to be sharing this with the Regional Planning Commission and any economic development initiatives that were going on in town. I'd want a local incubator to know about this. And this is the standard report that comes back from the initiative. So here's another piece of data that you're going to get, help and training at the library. So 64%, this is figures from a library report, 64% of public access tech users reported getting one-on-one help from library staff or volunteers in the past 12 months. The most frequent tech help was for library computer services, 81%. And then there's typically a graph. So here's a graph showing the type of help received from library staff or volunteers. So people asking for help with subscription databases and websites, about 50%. Basic computer instruction looks like 25%. So again, really in-depth, detailed reporting on what people reported to the impact survey from your town, from people who use the library equipment. So just a moment for you to type into chat ways that you think the library might use this data, or it might be useful to the town or to the library director. So I'm not seeing chat. I hope that doesn't mean that you're not able to chat. Let's see.
Looks like the technical fund drive, Suzanne Warren's.
Oh, great. Fundraising annual fund drive. Here's another one. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It helps me know that you're here. Jennifer says, I think it helps to show the town and the library director what services are being used and what could be needed. You know, Jennifer, I think that's a big one. So we say to people, we really need more, you fill in the blank, broadband, iPads, headphones, one-to-one help. Using the data really supports what you're saying, what your message is. I also wonder if the library director might be thinking about what kinds of staff training to use. So let's say that you see that subscription databases is a big number, and you think to yourself what kinds of staff skills you have. Maybe that's the point when you want to up your training on the Gale databases or Heritage Quest, just so people have it. So these were some of the thoughts that I had. Most people need both statistics and stories to understand a problem. And I think libraries are pretty good at anecdotal stuff. So, you know, we say, just last night, a young parent came to me. They said they were having difficulty downloading their IRS form that they needed to report income on. I was able to help them. But knowing that you can back up that story with statistics is a big help. Here's another chat. Rebecca says, share information with local business organizations, showing that the library is an important part of the business community and not just a tax expenditure. Absolutely. And the budget process. I mean, this is a good time of year to be checking in and thinking about not only what we're asking, but why, and having these statistics is really going to buttress your problem, your presentation of your budget. So, in my mind, surveys are not the only answer, that kind of data, but typically the data collected is helpful. Some benefits that the website talks about. You actually will have a graph of how people use library tech. It will inform staff training. So there was a period when health literacy was what everybody wanted to know. And that was a change that I saw reported in the Pew Internet Survey. But I wasn't sure it was a change that really applied to Vermont or a specific town in Vermont. Maybe they still needed to do training on Skype or Facebook or Twitter. So having very specific feedback could help you decide how to get your staff upped. Or if you have a one-to-one intern, what kinds of things the one-to-one intern might be advertising their expertise in. If you decide to sign up for the fee-based surveys, you'll be able to measure progress over time. If you're just going to use it once, you won't. And as I said before, it's a great way to back up budget requests and ideas about the image of the library. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about the instructions. The first step, which everybody on this webinar, everybody I wrote to has taken, is to create a user account. Typically, you put in either a username or an email login. If you're the email that I use to contact you is the same one as you use to log in. That's how I got that email to contact you. So there's one piece. If you don't remember your password, of course, there's a password reset button. So when you go to the website, impactsurvey.org, you use the login key and use the reset button if you're missing the password. And then if you want to review the tabs or go right to the center of information, the My Impact dashboard. So the first step you'll be asked to do is to view and update your library profile. The library profile is based on the information you reported in the Vermont Public Library Report. So you'll want to verify that information. And there is a place to upload your library logo or your photo. So if you want the survey to really look like your library, there's a way to customize it so it does. And there's a very short survey meant for the library director or tech staff to complete. So you do that as well on the My Impact dashboard. The next decision you need to make is when to schedule the survey. Many of you will see that your registration ends fairly soon, so please don't hold off on going in and scheduling your survey. You can hold it for at least 2 weeks. If you have the luxury of a late expiration date, you might want to hold it for slightly longer. I think of September as kind of a crazy month with parents dealing with back to school issues and people, coming back from summer vacation and getting reorganized. And in a small library, it may make sense to leave it open slightly longer. The recommendation for this to be a valid survey is that you have as many responses as you have typical library tech users in 1 week. So over the period of the survey, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're shooting for that number of the typical number of people who use your library tech in 1 week. After you have launched the survey, you can continue to track it on the dashboard. They're actually hourly updates reporting how many people have logged in. So an important part of this is going to be promoting the survey, and Impact Survey has an actual promotion plan as part of their information on the dashboard. So some common sense things you might do if you have a newsletter or a Facebook, you might put it there, put up a sign at the desk. If you have one of those what do we call them? I'm gesturing with my hands as if we were standing across from each other. One of those big signs that's out front of the library, the signs you can change the lettering on it, mention it there. You might want to do a drafting or a drawing or a raffle ticket for everybody who takes the survey. Users do have to be 14 or older, so you may want to think about that when you're promoting it. There are two ways to offer the survey. I am assuming that if you can talk people into taking it online, that's the easiest. That's the easiest for you because the survey results are automatically collated. So Dashboard will give you a unique URL to the survey and banners. You select the links you want and copy and paste the code into your home page. If you can, I really recommend making the link your opening page at your library terminals. Once people have taken the survey, that may be slightly annoying to them, but the idea is to get as many users as you can in that 2-week period. The links are actually hosted by Impact Survey, so you're just offering a link. You're not screwing up anything to do with the programming on your website. And there is one-to-one help with the Impact Survey team. I tested it yesterday. I sent them a message, and sure enough, they got back to me in 15 minutes. Do remember, Impact Survey is a West Coast, a University of Washington product, so they're on West Coast time. If you email them at 9 in the morning, they're not going to get right back to you. So that's the online survey, but I think probably you, like me, know that you have plenty of library users who prefer paper. So print it off, put a stack
I
at
had
the
to close
desk.
an hour early yesterday. I thought I was going to throw up. It was so hot in here.
So Sharon, I can hear you. Sharon Colvin?
A web training for the library.
Nice. I've got a bunch of paperbacks I'm just going to put out here.
Okay.
Hi, Mara, is that you? Hopefully they've gone away. Sorry, folks. I think you heard as I did, we were on another, feels like the old Vermont party line. So library users may prefer paper. You might want to say to them, yes, the survey takes about 10 minutes to do, but keep a stack and offer it to them. And what will happen at the end of the survey is somebody on the library staff will submit that data manually. It's a pretty routine interface. You're not going to have to type in each survey manually. It's a way to do it. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. She very kindly supplied the missing piece for me. It's called a sandwich board. That is exactly what I was thinking about. Okay, so at least in the areas that I know, a lot of places did a promotional offer. So, giving away an ice cream cone or a cup of coffee or a stack of books from the library book sale, something like that as an incentive. Make sure, please, that if you're doing an incentive, you offer the same incentive to people who take the survey in paper as people who take the survey online. That's important. We know that. So when the survey ends, you take down the embedded code that you use to promote the survey link. Staff enter the paper survey through an online interface. You download the unique reports for the library, and that's it. There are sample reports on Impact Survey, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of a look at what they're like. This is actually, I think, one of the strongest arguments for using Impact Survey. I mean, there are other places you can get surveys, but the reports are really nice, and they are exactly what I think you want. So, for example, there's a full report. It's 23 pages. There's a foreword. They talk about the scholars who designed this initiative. There's lots of data. Um, that's great if you have people, perhaps your trustees or a long-range planning committee, that want to read 23 pages. But there's also a two-page highlights, good layout, color graphics. I think that's probably the highlight, the report that you're going to use the most. There's also a slide presentation, a PowerPoint, again, great graphics. And I was thinking, if you're a member of Rotary or you're invited to speak there, if you have a women's club that's interested in how the library's doing, if you want to make a presentation with the idea of exciting some donors, the slide presentation is great. And why not? They've also included as a report a letter to the editor with statistics. It's right there. You can just copy it and make it work for you. This is what the two-page highlights looks like. So you can see the little blue column there. Librarians make a difference. Of survey responders who use the library's public access technology, 99% got help from a librarian, library staff, or volunteer to use the library's computers and internet. Nice. I don't think any of our figures will be 99%, but still. Links it back to the Pew survey, so it puts it in a broader context, but the highlights talk about your users and your library, and it will say at the Richmond Public Library or at the Shelburne Public Library, there are a number of terminals and so forth. So someone comments, if anyone else is hearing static, please mute if you're not the person talking, and nobody is talking. I hope the static isn't coming from me. I'm hearing a kind of little hiss too, so. Okay, this is the Q&A, and then we're done. So it's turned out to be a very quick webinar. But this is the point where I'd like you to ask any questions in chat. I think that's the easiest. You do have microphones on, but I'm thinking that I'm happy to have you try and talk if you want to. I haven't muted anyone, but perhaps chat is easier. So my website says Laura Keenan is talking, but Laura, I can't hear you. Okay, so Rebecca, I'm wondering if anyone, even nationally, has learned information about the people who are not connected, need to be, but still don't use the library. This survey is useful for those who do use the library. Oh, Laura says not talking. Okay, must have been some kind of nice emoticon, Laura. Rebecca, I don't know the answer to your question. I, of course, like you, am interested in the people who say, with a very firm voice, thank you, I do not want to be digitally connected. I'm very comfortable where I am. Although you make the point that some who are not connected need to be connected. This survey is not going to reach them unless they use the library. This survey really asks, how did you use technology at the library? It's a great question. but this isn't the solution for it. So what was the thing about extending the survey? September is a crazy month for us. I know that. Suzanne, in order to extend the survey, at this point, you would have to pay a fee. So you can log on, plug in what the library's total income is, and see where on the spectrum you would fall. The Department of Libraries is not joining this initiative. I think that was the original plan. Maybe we could join and either make it much cheaper for everyone or perhaps pick up the whole tab. But with the current situation, we're not doing that. So it'll be somewhere, the lowest libraries were those with a total income of $20,000. I'm sure you're well over that. That's a $50 fee. At the $1 million income, again, way above where you are, it was 500. But that's the deal. If you want it free, you've got to do it now. I do. I think there's probably maybe a day's work for updating my dashboard when you log in, learning how to copy and paste the HTML. Maybe a call to your tech person if you have somebody who helps you with the website, making sure that it's there. And then you sit back, except for promoting it, you sit back and wait for the surveys to be done. So no way to go beyond there. And seriously, I think you need to do it now so that your survey has 2 weeks to run and you can still log in and get the information. And Suzanne, you're exactly right. If you joined on September 25th, 2014, you would have to complete everything, including pulling the reports, to do it for free. You can find out when you log in what your ending date is. And if you have trouble with that, get in touch with me and I'll help you figure it out. Okay, that's the webinar, folks. I think you know how to get hold of me, but let me just give you my email, amy.howlett, Howlett, at vermont.gov. And I'll be sending these links out once the recording is done. Thanks so much. Have a great day.